A man who lives just a block away from here told me that he heard about 6 shots just going pow, 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 pow. Then hearing a man's voice, just emotional, distraught. Couldn't hear what he was saying, and then another round of shots, pang, pang, pang. And then now we know, after talking to law enforcement, that an off-duty Border Patrol officer was here and was able to shoot at the suspect. Imagine walking out of your home into your backyard and finding this right in the middle of it. Now, this happened earlier today, and I want to give you an idea of just how big this hole is. So I have this pole here. It's about 6 feet tall, and if we stick it in, it's almost completely inside of that hole. Police tell us that the driver, the 23-year-old man, he was coming up here on Cypress Canyon Road, made a left into this cul-de-sac, but that's when he lost control. You can see some pretty significant damage to this barrier right here in front of the home. Looks like the car went up these stairs into the driveway and ended up in that garage right there. You can see some major damage. There are several units here from Escondido Fire, Escondido Police, and the San Diego County Sheriff's Arson Investigative Team. And this morning, their investigation focused on this mosque right here, the Islamic Center of Escondido.
Where, Ramon, you're jumping in and out of the way of those waves.
You're going to see this. Yeah, you're going to see this. And the tide hasn't even come up to its highest level, but it's already flooding right here, Avenida del Playa and La Jolla Shores. Rabbi Goldstein today returned to the scene of the crime here at the Chabad Community Center in Poway. We're here across the street where neighbors have laid down flowers throughout the day to show their support for the community. When we heard from the rabbi today, he spent much of the time speaking about his beloved longtime friend Lori Kay, who was killed in this horrific attack. He also talked about the terrifying moments when the gunman walked into the synagogue. Rabbi Goldstein says the young man was wearing sunglasses. The rabbi says he couldn't see his eyes, he couldn't see his soul.
Terrorism like this will not take us down.
Rabbi Israel Goldstein, in a show of defiance, appeared outside of a synagogue with casts on his hands, showing the severe injuries he suffered. He lost one of his fingers in the attack. The rabbi says it will be a reminder of how vulnerable, but also how heroic each one of us could be.
My granddaughter, 4.5 years old, sees her grandpa with a bleeding hand, and she sees me screaming and shouting, "Get out, get out!" She didn't deserve to see her grandfather like this.
After helping the children out of the synagogue, Rabbi Goldstein returned to the temple.
And I see Lori laying on the floor unconscious. And her dear husband, Dr. Howard Kay, who's like a brother to me, is trying to resuscitate her. And he faints, and he's laying there on the floor next to his wife. And then the daughter Hannah comes out screaming, "Daddy and Mommy, what's going on?" This is the most heart-wrenching sight I could have seen.
Rabbi Goldstein says his dear friend Lori Kay took a bullet for everyone. As his congregation stood outside following the evacuation, the rabbi says he stood up on a chair and proclaimed, "We will not let anyone or anything take us down." A day after the shooting, Rabbi Goldstein is asking people of all faiths to stand together in a special message for the Jewish people.
Go to your synagogue. We need to fill up those rooms. We need to show them that terrorism, evil, will never prevail.
And as we come back out here live, we see more people coming out to pay their respects at this memorial that has been set up here across the street from the synagogue. Rabbi Goldstein also says that he got a call from President Trump today offering his condolences. The president talked to the rabbi for about 10 to 15 minutes. From the White House to San Diego County and across this nation, people continue to mourn for the victims of this horrific synagogue attack. The Trump administration, it sent tens of thousands of migrants back to Mexico to await decisions on their asylum claims. Douglas Oviedo, he's one of those people. His story is significant, not just because of the long journey he took, but also because most people who are forced to wait in Tijuana will never be granted asylum.
When I heard the judge's decision, I just put my head down and started crying.
That's 35-year-old Douglas Oviedo there. He is a youth pastor and is one of the first asylum seekers sent back to Tijuana under the U.S. government's Remain in Mexico policy. Just getting here was a brutal journey for him. The land route from Honduras to San Diego is about 3,000 miles. He was part of the migrant caravan that arrived late last year. Oviedo then had to wait 11 months in Tijuana while his case went through the courts. He understands that the migrant crisis has been politically polarizing here in the U.S. Oviedo says that he was threatened by gangs and made the journey for the safety of his family. He has a wife and 3 young children in Honduras. His youngest is just 4 months old.
One day we're going to be together. I don't know when, but that's what I hope for, that my children can travel to the U.S. to be with me. That will be something very special in my life.
His family's fate is still uncertain. Since the Remain in Mexico policy started, the U.S. has sent back more than 40,000 people to Mexico. This year, nearly 460,000 people traveling as family units have been arrested at the border, and moving forward, those family units will also have to wait in Mexico. Like many kids her age, 9-year-old Audrey Gaze is very active. She loves to practice piano and play on her computer. But Audrey faces an extra challenge. She has autism and she's blind.
So you go side to side, the tip goes side to side.
Despite her challenges, she can get around really well. That is, until something gets in her way.
When I trip in a scooter, I get like a little dizzy.
Audrey's mom, Ashley, posted a picture of a situation they are running into more and more. Scooters parked in the middle of the sidewalk.
You know, obstacles are a part of life, but for her, they really pose a safety threat, but also just a threat to her physical safety, but also a threat to her sense of confidence.
In neighborhoods around San Diego, it's not uncommon to see scenes like this, scooters laying here on the sidewalk. There are a lot of regulations and rules surrounding the scooters. Just on this one, there's a sign that says, "No riding on the sidewalks." The problem is, people aren't following the rules, and anytime we find these scooters on the ground like this, it's causing a major issue for people with mobility problems like Audrey.
People aren't considering others when parking the scooters.
I think my legs might have got a little tired.
The city is taking steps to make sidewalks safer. San Diego impounds scooters that are illegally parked.
I don't think it's just the city's problem. I think it's everyone's problem, because it's everyone's responsibility to protect our public spaces.
I found the street.
While Audrey hasn't gotten hurt yet, her mom is hoping riders remember to respect their neighbors. In Claremont,
Let's go walking.
Ramon Galindo, NBC 7.